Welcome to another deep dive. This time, it's into the life and ideas of Auguste Comte. He's that guy, kind of controversial, the father of positivism, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
We're looking at some excerpts from a book about him,
Okay.
and I thought it was interesting. It's actually in Spanish, so this is a deep dive in a couple of ways.
Wow. Yeah.
So we're talking 19th century Europe, big changes,
Hmm.
revolutions, the rise of science.
Right.
Comte, kind of a brilliant and ambitious guy, and some might even say a little eccentric.
Yeah, he was more than just trying to understand the world through science, Comp. He wanted to use it to reorganize society, like, from the ground up.
Right.
He wanted a world where knowledge was based on, well, facts, you could see, not just speculation or religious stuff.
Yeah, pretty radical back then. What made him think like that?
Well, his life was kind of a mix, right? Super smart, but also a lot of personal problems.
Okay.
I mean, born in France, 1798, had trouble in school, relationships, money was always an issue.
Huh. I wonder if, those struggles made him want a world that was more, I don't know, ordered, more rational.
It's possible. I mean, he even came up with this religion of humanity thing.
Yeah, I read about that. Sounds wild.
Instead of God, it's like celebrating human achievements and working towards a better future.
We should definitely unpack that later. But first, what about his intellectual journey?
Sure.
I know he was close with Henri de Saint-Simon, that socialist thinker.
Yeah, they worked together for a while, right? On the Système de politique positive.
That's right, the system.
But it fell apart. Big disagreement about, the core ideas.
It's funny how great minds can clash like that. What was it about the system that caused the rift?
Well, for Comte, it was a step toward positivism, all about scientific knowledge, right? But Saint-Simon, he saw it more as, praising industrialism and its power to change society. They ended up fighting over who really came up with the ideas. It ended badly.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, maybe. Both brilliant, but also, strong personalities.
Yeah. And it wasn't just St. Simon. Comte also had that famous friendship with the English philosopher John Stuart Mill.
Right, Mill.
At first, it was great, mutual respect, sharing ideas. Mill, he was all about individual liberty, so he was drawn to Comte's ideas about progress. But even that one got strained over time.
Same personality clashes with St. Simon.
Partly, yeah. Comte, he was, well, you'll see. Strong personality, needed to be in control, didn't always mesh well with Mill's ideas about freedom and open discussion.
So fascinating how personal stuff can affect intellectual history.
Yeah.
But let's get to the heart of it. Positivism. What did that actually mean? Why was it so revolutionary?
So the core idea is that real knowledge has to be based on facts, stuff you can observe through your senses, proven by science, anything you couldn't actually measure, like theological stuff, metaphysics. Comte basically said, nope, not real.
He drew a line, huh? Tangible world on one side, abstract ideas and beliefs on the other. But wouldn't that make knowledge pretty limited?
You've hit a nerve there. That's one of the big arguments against positivism. Because, yeah, by focusing only on what you could observe, Comte left out a ton of human experience, He was a stickler for language, too. Had to be clear, precise. Thought vague words messed up real understanding.
He wanted a purely objective scientific language, no room for interpretation.
Exactly.
Did that focus on objectivity carry over to how he saw the scientific method?
Oh, absolutely. For Comte, the scientific method wasn't just a way to gather data. It was the only way to reach true knowledge. He was all about observation, experimentation, coming up with mathematical laws to explain how things work. Science was a puzzle, and he was putting the pieces together, really carefully.
So Comte thought if you were rigorous enough with the scientific method, you could unlock, all the secrets of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But how did he see that working with something as messy as human society?
Well, that's where sociology comes in. For Comte, sociology was the king of the sciences, the top of the heap, the final goal of human knowledge. He thought if you could study society scientifically, you'd figure out the laws of human behavior and use them to make things better.
Interesting that he put sociology above even stuff like physics or astronomy. What made him do that?
Well, Comte believed each science built on the one before it, like a pyramid. So you've got mathematics at the bottom, then astronomy, physics, chemistry, biology, and finally sociology. Because it's about how people interact, how societies are structured. It includes all those other fields.
So to understand society, you need to understand the natural world. It's like a really connected view of knowledge.
Yeah.
But how did he think that scientific understanding would actually translate into a blueprint for a better society?
Mm-hmm.
Did he have specific ideas about how this positivist utopia would work?
He did. Comte imagined a society that was guided by reason and scientific principles, where knowledge and authority had a clear hierarchy, like a top-down structure. He believed that progress needed order and stability to happen, and for him, that meant everyone agreeing on the basic stuff.
But wouldn't that kind of consensus, that need for order, stifle creativity? I mean, progress often comes from challenging the status quo, right? Thinking outside the box.
That's a good point, and it shows one of the tensions, I guess, in Comte's thinking. He loved reason and science, but his positivist society didn't leave much room for people disagreeing or challenging the established knowledge. He even said something like, "There's no freedom of knowledge in fields like physics or chemistry, so why should it be any different in politics?"
Oh, that's pretty bold. Almost seems like it goes against the whole idea of scientific inquiry, doesn't it? I mean, look at Copernicus. He revolutionized astronomy because he dared to question what everyone thought they knew about the universe.
Right. You've hit on something important there. While Comte definitely saw the value in those established scientific systems, how they explain the world, maybe he didn't fully appreciate how important skepticism is, how questioning things can lead to progress. I think his focus on order and unity sometimes made him downplay individual freedom when it came to finding knowledge.
Like he was so focused on building the perfect system that he forgot how messy human progress can be. Unpredictable.
But let's switch gears a bit. I want to talk about one of Comte's weirder ideas, the religion of humanity. What was that all about? How did it fit into his whole positivist plan?
Okay, so Comte, despite rejecting traditional religion and, all that metaphysical stuff, he still saw that people needed shared values, a sense of purpose. So he tried to create a secular religion, something that would provide a moral and spiritual framework for his positivist society.
But if there's no God in this worldview, what are people supposed to worship? Well, in Comte's religion of humanity, you worship humanity itself. Like, think of it as a collective being that represents the best of what humans can achieve, their potential. He thought if you celebrated human achievements and worked towards making things better for everyone, you'd find meaning, the same way people did with traditional religions.
So it's like a secular faith based on humanism, not the supernatural.
Yeah.
Did this religion have rituals or practices?
Yeah, actually. The main ethical rule was live for others. It was all about being altruistic, taking responsibility for society. Comte even created a calendar with positivist saints, figures like Galileo, Shakespeare, people who embodied those ideals.
A positivist calendar. Wow, that's commitment. But wasn't Comte also known for being, kind of controlling? Did he really think he could get people to drop their existing beliefs and adopt this new secular religion?
Well, let's just say Comte was an ambitious guy. He saw himself as the high priest of this new religion. He even predicted he'd be preaching positivism from Notre Dame Cathedral by 1860.
That's a bold prediction. Did it happen? Did his positivist followers end up at Notre Dame?
Not exactly. While some intellectuals liked his ideas, the religion of humanity never really caught on. People's beliefs are complex. And tradition has a way of sticking around. I think Comte underestimated both those things.
I guess even a genius like Comte couldn't totally control how people believe, huh? But this whole religion of humanity thing, it does make you think.
It does. Shows that even in a world that's getting more and more secular, people still want meaning, purpose, a sense of belonging, right? Comte's specific vision didn't really work out, but he was right to see that as a basic human need.
So, big picture, what are the key takeaways from Comte's life and work?
Well, yeah, he had some flaws, and some of his ideas, they seem kind of old-fashioned now, but he definitely had a huge impact on the social sciences. That focus on observing things, applying the scientific method to society, that's the foundation of modern sociology.
It's interesting to think how his own life, all the struggles he went through, might have shaped his ideas. It's like he was looking for order in a world that felt out of control.
Yeah. And you see that need for order in his positivist society. All that emphasis on hierarchy, social control. Seems rigid to us, maybe. But he was writing at a time when things were really chaotic. He thought a society based on science and shared values was the way forward.
Like a roadmap for the modern world, kind of.
Yeah.
But like we said, his roadmap had some problems. He was so into the scientific method that he missed some stuff, like the importance of creativity, challenging norms.
Exactly. Comte loved progress, believed in science, but sometimes he was too optimistic. Didn't always see the nuances of how people act, how unpredictable social change can be. He thought if you just knew the scientific laws of society, you could create the perfect order.
But societies are way too complex for that, right? And like you said before, progress comes from disagreeing, questioning things, pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. Comte's legacy is a reminder that even the smartest people can be limited by their time. His positivist utopia never happened. But his ideas still make us think about the role of science, reason, individual freedom, how they all shape the world.
So for us, living in the 21st century, what can we learn from Comte? What should we take away from his successes and his failures?
I think Comte shows us that science and reason are powerful tools, but we gotta be aware of their limits. He reminds us that progress isn't a straight line. It's messy. It's unpredictable. It's about choices people make, creativity, that balance between order and chaos.
And maybe most important, he shows us that to create a better future, we need more than just science. We need to understand the human experience, value different perspectives, keep talking, keep debating.
Well said. Keep exploring, keep learning. The journey is just as important as the destination, right? Stay curious, question everything, and never stop wondering about the world.
Great advice. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the life and ideas of Auguste Comte. Hope you found it interesting, maybe even a little inspiring. Keep those brains working, and we'll see you next time.